Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm so happy that you are here today because today is a special video. I haven't done a video like this yet, but I want to do more like this. And today's video is St. Patrick's Day book recommendations. Okay, so today I want to talk about books written by Irish authors or set in Ireland that you might want to read during this St. Patrick's Day as a celebration of Ireland. Honestly, I don't read many books by Irish authors, I figured out. Not on purpose. I don't know, it just hasn't happened for some reason. But there are some books I would like to mention that I did read. I think it was back in 2018, so 4 years ago. These are not by an Irish author, but they are set in Ireland. And let me just tell you, it is the Cousins Oddwire trilogy by Nora Roberts. So the first book is Dark Witch, second book is Shadow Spell, and third book is Blood Magic. I don't know if you heard about Nora Roberts. Probably you have, because Nora Roberts has written hundreds of books. This was the first books I ever read by Nora Roberts, and okay, let me tell you what the series is about, or at least the first book. With indifferent parents, Iona Sheehan grew up craving devotion and acceptance. From her maternal grandmother, she learned where to find both, a land of lush forests, dazzling lakes, and centuries-old legends, Ireland. County Mayo, to be exact, where her ancestors' blood and magic have flowed through generations and where her destiny awaits. Iona arrives in Ireland with nothing but her nan's directions, an unfailingly optimistic attitude, and an innate talent with horses. Not far from the luxurious castle where she is spending a week, she finds her cousins, Brenna and Connor Oddwire. And since family is family, they invite her into their home and their lives. When Iona lands a job at the local stables, she meets the owner, Boyle McGrath. Cowboy, pirate, wild tribal horseman, he's three of her biggest fantasy weaknesses all in one big, bold package. Iona realizes that here she can make a home for herself and live her life as she wants, even if that means falling head over heels for Boyle. But nothing is as it seems. An ancient evil has wound its way around Iona's family tree and must be defeated. Family and friends will fight with each other and for each other to keep the promise of hope and love alive. So this is basically magical realism, kind of romance. It is definitely a romance. We have a few couples around, and I absolutely adored the atmosphere, especially at the cousin's place, one at Brenna and Connor Oddwire. They had this house, and one of the rooms of the house was a store with like candles and herbs and basically all this kind of witchy magic stuff. And just the way it was all described, it was so amazing. I absolutely adored this book. I really enjoyed it. Then as I read the entire trilogy back to back, so the entire trilogy is pretty good and I really did enjoy it. However, towards the end of the second book and the third book, I was already a little bit tired of it because it felt so repetitive, especially the writing style and the language. It just was all over and over and over again the same thing, and I just was tired of it. But overall, it was a beautiful story, magical story set in Ireland, and I definitely recommend, and I would like to know what you think if you read it. So that would be the only books set in Ireland that I read, that I remember anyway. But I also want to talk about some other books and authors that are Irish or set in Ireland. So I'm just gonna mention some because I haven't read these, so it's just a suggestion if you would like to read them, but it's not really a recommendation for me because I haven't read them. But let's give it a try. So the first is one of the most famous authors recently. Sally Rooney is Irish. So any of her three books, perfect for St. Patrick's Day. They are written by an Irish author. I'm not sure if all of them actually take place in Ireland or if any of them do. But anyway, a way to support Irish writer is Sally Rooney. So normal people, conversation with friends, and beautiful world, where are you? And I would really like to read this because it seems like people either love these books or hate these books, and I would really like to know on which side I would be. So, but I haven't read them and I would be really interested to. Another book or author I would like to mention is Maeve in America, Essays by a Girl from Somewhere Else by Maeve Higgins. And Maeve Higgins is an Irish comedian who moved to New York when she was 31. And this book is basically about the way she found her way in America and as between the world perspectives, as between America and Ireland. And there are also themes of ambition, helplessness, and homesickness for Ireland as well. So this sounds like a great book that could definitely bring out a lot of Irish culture and Irish mood now. Then the next book is one of the most famous authors in the history and one of the maybe most famous Irish author in history, and that's James Joyce. And especially his book Dubliners, which is a short story collection. The entire book is basically about life in Dublin. So that sounds like a perfect read for St. Patrick's Day as well. Next book I keep seeing is Brooklyn by Colm Tóibín. I have no idea how to pronounce that name. But Brooklyn takes place after World War II. It traces the story of Elise Lacey, a young working class woman who moves by herself from Ireland to Brooklyn in search of a better life and career opportunity. The coming-of-age story was adapted into a 2015 movie starring Saoirse Ronan and Emery Cohen. So there we go, it's an Irish book, a character moving from Ireland to Brooklyn, and then it's also a movie with the main role portrayed by an Irish actress. So perfect. There we go, that's Brooklyn. Next we have From a Low and Quiet Sea by Donald Ryan. And this is not set in Ireland, but it is about the Syrian refugee trapped on a Mediterranean island, a nursing home bus driver, and older Irish man who regrets his past. The author gets into these characters' heads as they reach tragic impasses, and then he intertwines their stories in this globe-spanning and pathetic book. But again, not set in Ireland. There is an Irish character, I believe it is an Irish author, but I could be off here. But yeah, also could be cool to check that one out. Okay, next up we have another author who is not extra popular, but I've seen her name around, and that's Emma Donoghue. I don't know how to pronounce her name. Donoghue? Sorry. But for example, we have the novel The Wanderer. I own the book by this author called The Pool of the Stars. I haven't read it yet, but I heard that her writing is really beautiful. So Emma Donoghue could be worth checking out as well, as she is Irish writer. Okay, next we have really interesting one, and it's called The Last September by Elizabeth Bowen. It is a classic novel about a girl coming of age during a formative moment in Irish history, the Irish War of Independence. The daughter of wealthy Anglo-Irish aristocrats, Louise watches as the sun sets on her way of life. That sounds very deep, tragic, interesting, informative. I am definitely interested in reading that one. Next we have Anne Enright, is one of Ireland's most prominent writers. Her most recent novel, Actress, will appeal to anyone who is a fan of celebrity gossip or of complicated mother-daughter relationships. Nora is the daughter of famous Irish actress Catherine O'Dell. After spending her career running from her mother's legacy, she finally seeks to unspool the entire story of her mom, from her itinerant upbringing to her stardom to the unraveling that cemented her place in the tabloids. So this seems like it could be for everyone who adored The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, because celebrities. It also has another layer of mother-daughter relationship, which is always interesting. And yeah, it's one of the most famous Irish writers as well. So this definitely looks very interesting, and I'm going to be adding this to my TBR. Next one we have, and this one is pretty popular, and it's Exciting Times by Naoj Dolan. I'm sorry, I don't know, I'm not sure how to pronounce all these Irish names. I know they have like really strange pronunciation, so I apologize if I pronounce it wrong. This author has often been compared to Sally Rooney. However, Dolan's voice is entirely unique. Each sentence is a journey. You never quite know what place her imagination will land. Exciting Times is about the 22-year-old Irish woman in Singapore who finds herself navigating the power dynamics of a love triangle. On one prong, a wealthy English banker, on another, an alluring local woman. That sounds actually really cool. and no wonder that's so popular. Next up we have a very famous book, or much more famous movie to be exact. The movie is P.S. I Love You, and it's based on the book called P.S. I Love You, written by Cecilia Ahern. Yeah, and this book is basically about Holly, who is a young Irish widow and is forced to pick up the pieces after her husband Gary, who dies from a brain tumor. Prepare for some waterworks. This movie is absolutely so sad and devastating, and I'm not sure I'm able to sit through so much like in a book, but yeah, I'm sure you heard about this movie or the book, and it is written by an Irish author about set in Ireland as well. So there we go. Next up we have, for the ones who love some classics, is The Picture of Dorian Gray by Oscar Wilde. The Picture of Dorian Gray is the only book Oscar Wilde ever published. In this dark gothic novel, Wilde literally paints the portrait of the selfish and narcissistic character Dorian, who sells his soul for eternal youth. The book reconciles the concept of aging and beauty as a double-edged sword. I know there's so many people who love this book. I don't think I've heard many people saying they don't like this book because it's classic or whatever, but everybody enjoys this one, so I'm definitely interested in checking that one out. And then we have another very famous book, very famous author, and that's The Heart's Invisible Furies by John Boyne. This book is a coming-of-age tale which centers around Cyril Avery, a gay man born into a conservative Irish society. Not only does Cyril have to wrestle with his own sexuality and his adoption, but he also has to deal with the threatening events taking place in his country. So I've been interested in reading this book for so long, but I never got to it so far. But yeah, again, perfect time to pick it up if you want to. And I think that will be all for my recommendations for St. Patrick's Day. I would like to know what are your favorite books by Irish author or set in Ireland, because why not? Let's just share more Irish joy and more Irish culture on this St. Patrick's Day. And yeah, let me know if you're interested in any of these books, or if you read any of these books that I mentioned. And thank you very much. Enjoy St. Patrick's Day. Bye!